What's up? What's up? What's up, Uncle Jack? As soon as you request, I'll send it back. Great Plains, good morning. Kill Martin Company and Company, good morning. Who else we got in here? Mike Faz, good morning. Blisswood, good morning. Invictus, good morning. Amalgam, Zion, good morning. Edward Dahl, good morning. Great Plains, good morning. Lost Creek, good morning. Rob DeMarco, good morning. Woodkill Studios, good morning. Hausen Cake, good morning. Jeff Whitney, good morning. Okay, Jack, you need to request to join me. All right, so let us know where you all are tuning in from. What part of the world are you in? What's up, New Orleans? I went to St. Aug. It's my home. Born and raised. Long Island. East Lake Window Works, what's up? Virginia Beach. Man, I drove down there to pick up a LT30. That thing was beaten up. And them dudes were crazy. What's up, Derek? Nova Scotia. Canada shows up a lot in the woodworking world. What's up, of Earth? The Boogie Down Bronze. It should ask you, unless you go back off and come back on, it'll ask you if you want to join me and just hit yes. Stop in and say hi. What time's where? Oh, 15 miles from Jack. What's up? What's up, Dave? Waiting for Jack to join. And Bogalusa.
Hey, live.
What's up, Uncle Jack?
How you doing, Robert?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Pretty good.
Listen, man, thank you for all of your help and helping me get this underway and your support. Appreciate that.
Oh, I think it's a fantastic idea. I'm surprised nobody came up with it before. And obviously, with all of the people that have requested to come on, it's sort of snowballing a bit, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think what happened is when okay, let me give you my thinking on that, and I'm gonna divulge a little bit. When I first had the idea, right? It's like there are a lot of people, you get a lot of people sending you messages in your inbox, and it's just craziness. And
Yeah.
but those people want to have a conversation, whether the conversation is legitimate or not, whether it's educated or not, they want to have a conversation. So
Yeah, people like to talk, Robert.
yes, we do. So I'm thinking, you know, the let me tell you, the person who I really wanted to talk to first was Tyler Hayes, BDW.
Okay.
So they do amazing woodwork. This guy does clay in his backyard. He does it's amazing. But of course, you know, he's busy.
Yeah.
And then there's your countryman, Jeff Martin.
Yes.
And so, you know, there's a list of them. And then I'm into old machinery like you are.
Okay.
So, and then it's wanting to actually stop someone and be like, hey, what's up with that? How does that work? How did you get into this? It was just a curious, casual conversation. And when I sent in, it was 20 of you all at once that I asked the question to. And the reason why I did the 20 at once is because I didn't want to go individual to individual because I didn't want anyone to steal the idea. So if I hit 20 people at once, I got 20 witnesses that this is my idea.
Right, okay.
So once I did that, and of course everyone was receptive to it, then I went off and did the individual ones because I'd already started.
I immediately subscribed. I thought it was a brilliant idea, and I'm hoping I was one of the first 20, maybe.
No, you were. It was in the group.
That was the group.
Yeah, that was the first 20.
Yeah, and what surprised me and what's been really beneficial for me is I didn't know a majority of those people. So it's been really good to go, oh, wow, I didn't know about this person.
Right.
And these are top-notch people in all of their fields, right? And
right.
You've included a list of what I'd call quite diversified types of people.
Yeah, and that's what I'm working on. You know, there's some bicycle makers that are coming. Okay. There's some bakers that are coming.
Okay.
There are some bag makers that are coming. There's
so,
some
Robert, what was the point? I mean, what was your objective? Because I think a lot of people, because it sort of snowballed, don't really understand why you're having these live conversations other than, oh, let's talk to Jack or let's talk to all these other artists. But what was your objective?
To have the people we admire be in some kind of way tangible, where we can have a conversation with them, where we can ask them a question, where we can they give us a few minutes of their time.
Right.
And also to learn a lesson from what it takes to be top notch, what it takes to be excellent, what it takes to be at the top of the food chain. So
it's all relative, eh?
It is. It is relative.
It's all relative. Depends where you're coming from. You know, if you're the Queen of England going into woodworking, you know, I think actually somebody asked the question once, do you want to make $1 million in woodworking? And I said, sure. And they said, start with 2.
Yep, that's how you get there.
I mean, I think it's interesting. I've never done anything else, so I've not come from another thing, okay? Knew I was going to do woodworking since I was a little kid, okay? In fact, that's what I would do as a little kid. Mom said I cut my own umbilical cord with a skill saw. So I always wanted to do that, and there was no question about that.
So, okay, what did your father do?
Father was an architect. He was the first to leave the trade. So my family history are Scandinavian shipwrights, and he was the first to leave. And these were, if you're talking about highly skilled people, these were highly skilled. So they immigrated on the Mayflower to the United States. I'm American, by the way. I was born in California, and I'm a frostbitten Canadian ever since I was about, I think 5 years old is when we moved here. But Dad was the first to leave the trades, and it was under the advice of his father, who was my grandfather, a huge contractor in the area. who said that, look, you should go in. It's a much more stable environment to have a career and stuff like that. So that sort of still rings true a little bit. Of course, Dad always wanted to do the woodworking still, even though he was a professional architect. And that's where I get my design. You know, me and my father would always talk about design or do little sketches. The majority of my family are either musicians or graphic artists, and so those sorts of things, like I can draw and those sorts of things. So the woodworking for me was, I loved it. There was nothing else I wanted to do, and for my entire life, I just looked for ways to facilitate. So that's the family background. And as you know, not very many people go into this field or have any of the traditional apprenticeship programs. This is something I admire about what you're sort of doing in regards to helping the blacks enter into a field that is in some cases stigmatized to allow them. And,
opportunity.
Yeah, and I admire that. We don't generally have those sorts of issues up in Canada, but although there's probably is some, you know, things being blocked, and I totally support what you're doing. I think it's fantastic.
Thank you.
Certainly we can't be picky. Okay?
Right.
And so...
I mean, because if you think about it, right, the slaves built most of the buildings in America early on. So we were builders and timber framers. And when it became a skill that you can get paid from, they took it from us.
Yeah, there's sort of a similar story there with the professionals, though. You know, history-wise, we used to build. In fact, the Freemasons didn't have architects, and they were building cathedrals in Notre Dame that were spanning arcs that are hard to actually do with engineering. So now we're sort of all up against that sort of stigma where woodworkers aren't really given the responsibility and the respect that architects, designers, and draftspeople are given. And this is where the artist can play a really good role. They can say, no, I'm going to take that back. And no, you don't tell me what to build. I tell you what to build. Now, this is something I decided to do about 10 years ago, which I had worked with top-notch designers. It's a great way to get in there. Very stressful. Had about 6 people. The only thing I did was yell and fix stuff, because when you hire people to do your work, you can't get one person to do your work. It's going to take a multitude of people to cover all of what I call the hats you wear. So what happens is, initially, you might start working on yourself. You know, hey, I'd like to build this table. Someone says, hey, that's a nice table, Jack. How much? And you have no idea. And you just want to build it. You build it. You get really busy. There's too many tables. Next thing you know, you're cutting trees. You got a huge yard in New York City, and you can't keep up. But
literally,
they're called you, so you need help. So what happens is you kind of got to water down your pure idea. Hey, this is my stuff, and there's no compromise, and you realize that doesn't last too long, because and so you have to really make a decision at that point that the scale at which you want to go is going to have to include those things. So either you have to decide that the scale of your work, it's very important that people follow your instructions and they are there supporting what you do. This was a lesson that took me years to learn. I just thought, Reese, your last interviewer who said he hired people with absolutely no woodworking training, is exactly my experience as well. I find that I don't want people with habits, good or bad. I want them with my habits, and I make that clear at the very beginning. My apprentice, Andrew Simpson, and you should follow him, has been with me for 2 years. He's smart. He has a degree in Maddox was a teacher at.
Jack, I'm going to interrupt you for 2 seconds.
Okay.
You're sitting in a chair, right? And we can hear it squeak. So you're talking.
Oh, I'm sitting on. Want me to turn it around here? I'm sitting on an old drop.
All right, perfect. Sit. Have a seat. No, you can sit on it.
That's what's squeaking. Yeah. Yeah. So Robert, that's sort of been my experience in that regard. And of course, I've been doing this for, I don't know now, 83. So how long ago was that? Wait
a minute. You're 83?
No, I started in 1980.
In 1983. It's like,
so well, I say only 58, but I notice people are calling me uncle, so. You know, so for me, it was a question of scale. I tried the scale thing. And of course, when I was going through it, it isn't like today, it's fantastic to be a woodworker. People love wood. When in the 80s, people hated wood. It's going to rot. That's when the vinyl windows came in. And there was also the beginning of when getting things from another country was exotic. Now there's this, say, local and stuff like that. That whole 1980s, 1990s, and the dot-com shit, it fucking wiped out manufacturing in North America. And it, to a certain extent, was their intent. And that's where I got a lot of my old equipment. Huge companies down in Georgia and stuff, Sklar Plepler, and the big, huge, what I'd call established manufacturers were just getting hit. And the trades and the skills lost and from that are going to have a real hard time recovering.
Yeah, we're in the pickle because of that.
That's why I like sharing, because I've been through all that, and then I see a lot of people coming in and they're reinventing the wheel, and I go, guys, they used to do all that stuff, and you just don't know. You just don't know.
And that's and Jack, that's a thing that another reason that's good about this conversation is that people who've done it can talk to the people who are trying to do it and maybe save a headache or two, maybe.
Well, I mean, eventually you're all on your own. You know,
right.
Like, you got to make the decisions, and you know, but the passionate ones are gonna look at, you know, they might be watching this video, but they might be looking at the corners of the screen. What the hell's in Jack's shop? And we don't know where they are. You don't know where you are, or you don't know where Jack's been, because I've gotten to a point now where I left the architects and designers, and I was making six figures, walked away from it because I was completely unhappy about that. Although I was making good money, I was under the scrutiny of other designers, which most of the time I was just fixing their problems.
Right. And we spoke about this before with Martin, is that when you get drawings from an architect or a designer, they're not builders. So what they design doesn't always work, and being fabricators, you have to fix it and send it back to them.
Yeah. So, but I mean, there are good architects, and that you need to know what the difference is. And yes, there's going to be designers, and I mean that relationship needs to change. Some designers will just change stuff. They'll have you build stuff because they're irresponsible with their clients' money. And they may be in that trade. The design industry is quite interesting, and I was in that for quite a while. I've had lunches with the mayor of Ottawa at buildings that we won design awards, unsolicited design awards, and so I know how what that's all about. And of course, they all have their associations, the Kitchen and Bath Association, which generally just gives themselves all rewards. It's kind of fluff and horseshit for the most part. And you need to really look at someone and say, is that good design? Is that table going to stand? Does it? And then, I mean, beyond that fabrication point, be critical of, is it actually good looking? Is it proper? Or is this trendy? Okay? And be very careful who you associate yourself with, because you will initially get, you know, the dollar signs rolling in your eye there, and you're going to pull the lever and take a gamble with certain designers who give you a lot of work, and it may be engaging. But you should make sure that that they represent you, or that you're allowed to say, look, this is what I offer. And I actually had to say that. And I mean, I worked with good architects who drew stuff that could be built. And the reason they wanted me to do it is they said, well, Jack, you do such great work. We want you to do our work. And I said, well, I want to do my work too. So am I going to pick you or me? I'm going to pick me to do my work. Now, when I'm not busy doing my work, well, that hasn't going to happen. It hasn't happened. You know, you begin to move on. And the more you establish yourself, your name, who you are, what you do, to everything you do, the more you will put yourself in a position that you got into it in the first place for. For me, it was, this is cool, I want to make this, or this is challenging, I want to try to do that. I don't want to become mass producing, or and that's not to say that that's not a great thing, but you decide which one you want.
Yeah, there's a place for everything.
Yeah, you can be an entrepreneur, and that's very creative. For me, I tried that, and I didn't enjoy chasing money, and so
that's what it is.
What made me happy was to just figure out a way to do what I got to do and afford it. Okay, so I built my own shops. I work from home. I have virtually no overhead. I don't have to take a job because I have, you know, $15,000 overhead, 15 employees.
Payroll, right.
And that can be very, especially in times like this where you're uncertain about whether even customers can show up, or your retail, or anything like that. And so, I mean, I made those decisions. Now, they came later. Those decisions came later. I mean, when I started off, I took every job that came on the plate and knocked it out of the park, gave them more than they asked for, because I was establishing myself. And you have to do that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. And you know, after a few years, you go, hey, Jesus, I've been working for a couple years straight here, or 5 or 10 years straight. Things are going good. And, you know, or good stuff comes in that builds your equity, and you can start to expand. And those things, I mean, you can listen to the gurus tell you all about that, but you got to live that stuff. You got to live that stuff. My advice for that is make sure the relationships in the rest of your life are in good shape, because it will inevitably take all of your time.
Yep, it'll pull on you.
Good relationships with your girl, your family, and your clients, because it's very easy to become unbalanced, burned out, and let business sort of take over. So, and business can take over, and I'm sure, Robert, you understand what I mean. That you don't that you kind of think you're making your own decisions, and you know, the business is rolling. So it's always a good time to just sit back and remind yourself why you're doing it, and keep the relationships in. If this was be your employees, okay? I include with all of my interns in that. I say, hey, look, you know, you might think Jack is somebody that you saw on the internet. Hey, man, he's just a regular. I'm just the guy in my backyard. Okay? If you can't deal with me in that regard, we'll have a problem. We're both the same. You're just at a different place, and I'll bring you along. And with those people, I've had good luck. Maybe you've had bad luck with certain people, not because they weren't trying. It just they weren't what I'd call you just don't fit. Eh?
Yeah, I need to do a better job at talent.
And for me, relationships are very important, and this means my clients. Okay, One of the sayings I despise about business is, don't mix pleasure with business. I think, why not? I do that constantly, and that's my point. I wish to take everybody who's with me on a ride, which is what I'm doing. I clearly tell them I'm in charge, but that, look, we do this project together, okay? How much you involve yourself with me, how much you tell me what you want is beneficial for you. And those clients that, enjoy that become lifelong clients. They understand what's involved. And for me, it has to be proper in more levels than even the clients are aware of. Some of the clients might even say, well, Jack, it seems like you're interviewing me. And I said, well, yeah, I am. I'm finding out if you're the right client for me, not if I'm the right contractor or furniture maker or artist for you.
Very important.
I think the clients that I work with appreciate the candid nature of that agreement, the first agreement that, look, this is my position, this is your position, and this is the way I'd like to go. But for a lot of people, I think it's, how do you get a job? How did you get all those jobs? Well, you just keep doing jobs, and the more jobs you do, Richard, the more jobs you get. So with that in mind, do the right jobs, because they're as good as your last job, and your last job's going to get your next job. So remember, when you're doing that job, if you want to do fine chairs like Sam Malouf, then you build fine chairs like Sam Malouf. You don't chairs that are kind of the same and then go, well, I'd love to build you a Sam Malouf chair. And there's another thing is, I think a lot of people copy a lot of stuff, and there's nothing wrong with copying the masters. It's a good way to learn, especially if you're self-taught. But at some point, you should do what you think you should do, even for the lesson of failure, if that's what it becomes. And I think be able to enjoy the trades for a lifetime. In fact, I don't retire. I'll just retire from working from clients, and I become the client, and I go out and I build things, and I don't care if you buy it or not. I'm pretty sure it'll sell, but that'll be what I want to do, because there's many things I want to do that sometimes you try to interject with your clients. You might have ideas or stuff like that, but generally you're under your client's belt. But can be a lot of freedom if you say, hey, look, this is who I am, and if you project that, those are the people you're going to attract. If you hook yourself up with designers, you can have some really flashy stuff, but when somebody comes in and says, who did that, your name doesn't pop up. The designer's name pops up. And so that became crystal clear for me once I realized I was hanging around with some pretty top-notch architects who were actually, I'd made pay me to do shop drawings. And I walked into their office and said, guys, this stuff's garbage, man. You should be doing this and that. And I would talk to them, and they agreed to pay me. And but then what happened is they just said, well, Jack's going to take care of it, right? And it was good stuff. And it took a real courage on my side to say, okay, no, I got to go on my own. It's the Watkins Temple, and any work coming out of here is mine. And I had enough with the.
Okay, now let me. I have a question for you, right? So the Watkins Temple is yours.
Well, the Watkins Temple is just a name for my shop. Okay?
Got it.
Okay, and it's a funny story. I was on the internet on forums, okay? So IG's pretty advanced, okay? Forums were it was just like dial-up stuff, okay? You'd go on, and it was all text, and you'd talk to people, and it was better than nothing. It was certainly better than magazines, because there was an interaction. And and what I saw that evolve to were these worship groups. I mean, all I got to do is go over to the Festival Frog Forum to see people worship a brand. Okay, and so I, because of old equipment, I like old English equipment in Canada because it was a Commonwealth country of England. It had all kinds of imports of English equipment, and if you know your English equipment, it's just fabulous stuff. And so I thought, well, if you're going to worship a brand, I'm going to worship Wadkin, okay? And so, and I mean, if you're going to do a proper worship, you have to have a temple. So it was more of a funny thing, and I didn't mean it, but it caught on, okay? And another thing that caught on, because I used to do rebuilds on many of the forum sites. In fact, I established the whole vintage rebuild side of Canadian Woodworking's forum. In fact, where I met Paul from Canadian Woodworks 10 years ago when he was starting out, and I heard him talking about it in his story where he was starting out. I remember that shed. I had conversations with him. Okay, and we'd say, hey, go get a Wadkin, or go get that big ass Whitney planer, right? Like, these things are a dime a dozen, and they'll blow your socks off if you're. And he was just beginning, he was doing his chairs more, and it just exploded for him, and so that's. In some way, over the last 10, 15 years, you've seen some people grow exponentially. It's amazing to see Paul from Canadian Woodworking where he is only a few years later.
Right.
That story sounds similar to yours. Like, that growth of urban timber and sawing is so lucrative in so many ways. It allows you to get to that shop that you dreamed of, where furniture making might not. Okay?
Right.
Right. I'm sure that's where the capital came from.
Right.
For me,
Yeah,
it was all working. We
right.
had cut. I contemplated the idea of sawing lumber, but I got pretty good connections for lumber. And I don't know how long the and it's sort of trendy that the slab thing will go. I mean there are timeless designs. We'll be talking to Taylor on Monday on your other page, and I think that incorporating really good design. But right now, anybody could do a slab anything. There's in fact just lumberyards selling slabs with hairpin legs. Oh, that's my compressor. Sorry.
It's all good.
We're in the shop, eh?
You're right. We're in the shop.
Would you like to see the shop?
Yeah, let's do it. Yes.
I'll just go shut that off. Never remember which one it is, though. So when we were talking about old machines, this is what I'm famous for. This table saw right here.
Beautiful.
This is the Wadkin PK, which I arguably say is the most beautiful table saw ever manufactured. This was made in England, developed in 1922, and is an absolutely amazing. It's a slider. Okay, it's currently has too small of a blade on it right now. That's only a 16-inch blade. It takes 18-inch blades, and it is just a disgustingly precision machine. Made when they made stuff that it mattered how beautiful it was. So I mean, all of these castings were all made by a woodworker, a pattern maker, who made all that woodworking, and it's rather complicated, and it reminds me that I should keep my game up. Now, things I've done is jackify it. So this is Brazilian rosewood outfeed extensions that allow the crown guards. There's probably $4,000 worth of Brazilian rosewood on that.
It's beautiful.
Yes, and I believe in beautiful things. This is a Stenner chain chisel and hollow chisel mortiser. This thing is disgustingly good. Stenner, if you're not aware of Stenner from Trevington, they built huge resaws, and in the 1950s actually started making what they called lightweight equipment. This thing's disgusting. I think it's like 2,000 or 4,000 pounds. It's fully balanced. It doesn't slide in heads. The whole head assembly is counterbalanced, and I can move it with one finger. It's incredible. Has built-in sharpening systems in the back.
Wow.
It's stupid. So this is our bench shop. So this is where we fit stuff. Two people working here. Okay. It's not to say we don't have sometimes three. We have a little tiny BG. What is it? Forget what they're called now. This is a little mill. It's a watchmaker's mill. It came out of the National Research Council, and I think it drilled 2 holes. Those in 2010 were worth $20,000.
Wow.
I love government sales. Then we got our pattern lathe, Wadkin. Okay. We got a few. I got a few American machines like Delta. This is the only ship saw I know that's of this size. It's a Burrs green saw. The table doesn't tilt. You come over here, and the whole body of that saw tilts.
Amazing.
So if you've ever tried to cut curves on an angle and the damn thing's sliding all over the place, that's going to replace the fixed version of that. And these are little direct drive machines. They're exquisite. I have an Oliver. You know Oliver?
Yeah. Listen, when you're done, I'll show you my shop.
Okay, good. So, have you ever seen this machine?
No.
No, I didn't think so. So this is a bottom scroll sander. These are pretty rare. So what it is the sanding belt comes up and then goes right back down. But that sanding belt is 12 feet long.
Wow.
Okay? And then these are all your little patterns so you can run belts that wide up to 2 inches, and you can drop this sander into pierced work and sand the inside of a square right to the corner. Right to the corner. That's a really rare one. That was in terrible condition. This is a bobbin sander by Wadkin.
I could use one of those right now on the job I'm working on. Now.
These are fantastic. Now what I've done here is I've retrofitted it to hold small spindles. Okay. And those are just like rigid pieces of junk. This is a Porter Cable. When Porter Cable in 1922, this is some of the machines that they were building. They were bought out by Syracuse. In fact, Oliver got the license to build this. This is a precision plate sander. Now, what's good about a waterfall sander? It will fold back. What's good about a waterfall sander over a disc sander is the speed of the paper is always the same. It's not decreasing as you get closer to the center. So for doing precision joinery, that's a fantastic. It has a ground surface plate. It's actually made for metal grinding. This is sort of just the junky stuff here. We have my chain mortising tooling is in this cabinet. Each one, I think there's about 40 bars, and one bar, one chain, and one sprocket is worth about $1,000. Okay, and then all of our chisels, right? We have every size, super long chisels. We have chisels that are 6 inches long. People aren't aware of that. This is the smallest chisel ever manufactured. It's Japanese. That is less than 1/8 of an inch. Those little Japanese are pretty smart. Look at that. Okay, so if you're doing really tiny little pegs, that's pretty nice. That's our shaper tooling. We run a lot of high-speed steel. We're still setting up grinding equipment. Office is always a mess. It's kind of where I do my drawings. We got junk back in here. And so that's basically, this is basically the small stuff. I'll show you. Tell me if I lose the feed, eh?
Okay, will do.
Okay, so this little building here was a chicken coop. And it was only this little gable end. So when I moved here in '97, I added this little addition. And I thought that was a ton of space. I thought that was a ton of space, okay? So that one's fully conditioned. This is typically the Wadkin Temple, okay?
Okay.
So although this one is a renovation, this one is from scratch. So what I mean is I'm not interpreting an existing building that was already there. And so
pretty nice.
You can sort of see it, okay? Now that's my showroom. It's obviously too grand for a mill shop, but it allows us to, because we make all the windows, the doors, and so when my clients come and they go, well, what are wooden windows like? Well, I go, come see, okay? So I don't know if I can even open this door. So this is a pretty big door. I don't know if I can get in through this way. Yeah, it looks like I can. Okay. So these are the bigger machines. All of these doors swing out. And there's a 6-foot overhang. So you can work in the rain, but the wind comes, because we're out in the country, blows right through here. So you stand here when you mill, and you don't need masks. You're sitting in free air, and there's no posts on the overhang, so we're going to be able to roll these machines and actually mill outside.
Nice.
Yes, it's all about that. So this is an 1880s sticker molder. If you watched me last year, I rebuilt that 1903.
Yeah, I saw that.
Motor. This would have never been electrified. You know, I collect stuff like these are explosive proof switches that I got on eBay, and they were salvaged out of a nuclear submarine, Russian submarine. They're like a totally cool switch. This is a switch arrangement I made, and of course I made the Tom Utley made the little tags. What does that say? Oh, rock on. And, ooh, are we allowed to say that? Hey, like this.
I love it.
It looks like off from up close, but if you work here, then the lovely Wadkin 26-inch wide joiner. Ooh, this is it's also a thicknesser. But this one, Robert, also takes molding knives. There's a plate section right here. Takes molding knives, so it can be turned into a molder. The tables slide across. This is a Quebec maker. It's just a 14-inch rip saw, but this isn't a tin base. This is solid cast iron, 1/2 inch thick. It's actually got remarkable dust collection. It actually goes right in up to the flat. So we use that for just rip cutting. This is a 15-inch, 15-pin dovetailing machine. When we run that, I can dovetail a drawer in 1 minute.
Wow.
Half blind. These were beautiful. They made them up to 24. They have a little surface grinder, a side sander, an 18-inch Wadkin crosscut. We're not sure if we're going to rebuild this. This one is just another Wadkin 12-inch in the rat hole. The 30-inch this is a beautiful saw. This is I had a Japanese F6000, the ones with the 3-inch blades, the little resaws there.
Right.
They were pretty good, but I thought, you know what, I had too many band saws at one point, and I said, okay, I got to get rid of this stuff. Do I really need that, or do I just want it? And so these are all set up to work like this, but they're all on 4x4, so that what I call is, anybody looking for a mobile base, buy a pallet truck. That's the best mobile base ever made. So we got it's tight. We got our big 30-inch Watkin. You'd love one of these. I think Oliver made a similar one.
I'll show you mine.
Disc, but it also has the bobbin.
I missed that.
And what's good about the Watkin, if you can get it, is the Oliver uses a singular motor, right? They don't have a separate motor. Now, the one you saw in the shop was the individual unit of that. That's a rare. Usually this was the one. And then upstairs is just the rat hole. We got there's thing going on. We have a German Maca mortiser. If you're not familiar with swing chisel mortisers, you know what a swing? No, you're looking like you don't. Swing chisel mortisers, look them up. They're pretty cool. It cuts a square hole. It's fully automatic. It's quite interesting. This is an English metal cutting bandsaw. Beautiful, beautiful thing. We got a Ford and Smith grinder, which is going into our grinding room, and everybody's got one of these. That's a rat hole, eh? It's just got extra motors and whatnot.
I got a much bigger rat hole.
It allows my clients to see our windows. So these are handmade windows, single glazing, built-in screens. And what we call furniture quality kind of stuff. So but that's sort of it. I'll turn back around there.
All right, so I'm going to show you my shop.
Good.
Now we're in the middle of some work, and it's a mess. But I figure
I did clean mine up, so I will say that I'm cheating.
I didn't do mine. All right, so I'm going to turn the camera around. All right, so we're going to start in the back and work our way toward the front. So this big dust collection here is not hooked up yet, but that's what we're working on.
Okay.
There's a chisel mortiser there. There's a
oh, is that a Hammond?
Yep, that's a Hammond. I just bought the adapter for the bigger blade from Patrick Harris.
Pete?
Yeah.
Yep.
Peter Harrison, right. Sorry about that. Right there's a Unipoint.
Oh, I got Nick the blacksmith here.
Yep.
I haven't showed you the blacksmith shop. Oh, nice radio alarm saw.
All right, so this is a number 4 Northfield. That's a slider as well.
Yes. Good.
Oh, how about this, Jack? What do you know about that?
Hold on. What am I looking at here?
That's a wood welder.
A what?
A wood welder.
Is that one with the radioactive glues?
Yeah, let's see what you got here. You take that, you put it on the glue joint, and it zaps it.
Yeah, that's the microwave glues or
Here, that's my Stetson resaw.
Like your what?
Stetson resaw.
Is that a Stenner? What is it?
Stetson.
Okay. Is that up and running?
Yeah. Hold, 1 second. Yeah, I'll show you what. This is a Newman. This is a Whitney. Newman has it now, and we're going to be interviewing them.
Yeah. So I personally think the Whitney is better than the Bus.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
Okay.
This is a big sander that we are working on the
Working
feeder
on pulling
belt.
a piece out?
Say it again?
Working on pulling a piece out of it?
No, so the feeder belt came off. It tore
Okay.
up.
It was stitched up.
Yep, that's a Martin
70.
sliding table saw there.
Yeah.
Here, Jack, is my 30-inch jointer.
Okay, who's the maker on that?
Some
Who's it? Porter?
Gates.
Gates American? Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful.
All right, so Oliver Dual Disc Sanders
Okay.
is here. This is the second one that I own. This is 30. I have a 36-inch
Yeah.
Aiden.
Do you like the 36 over the 30?
I've never hooked up the 36.
Okay.
It's in the yard. This is the bus.
Is it running?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it runs. Everything runs. This one we use. Now here, see if you can see this. This is an Oliver gap bed lathe.
What is that, a 25C?
No, it's a gap bed. It's not either.
Oh, the rolling gap bed. Yeah, that's, I know the one where the bed rolls over.
Yep, yeah. So you grab the bed here.
Yeah.
Right, you pull it. You have
And
to.
you can crank it.
Yeah, you crank it back, and it gives you that to mill.
Where do you find most of your old equipment?
Man, I've been doing this I've been picking and hunting since I was like 18. So just looking and looking and looking and looking. And here, because they don't make this is a one-way chuck.
Yeah.
And
Chuck.
I had to get an adapter made.
Okay.
To fit it. And that's from a guy in Tennessee. He makes that.
Those, I thought.
Say it again?
But One Way makes adapters for their I think you're the Stronghold chuck there.
Yeah. That was
holds,
it, but not to fit on my lathe.
Too small?
Right.
Yeah.
So here is a Northfield bandsaw.
Yeah.
That's another little Oliver lathe.
Yeah.
Let me show you the 10 was 36-inch.
Bandsaw?
Bandsaw.
Yeah. No, those are good saws. Those are excellent saws.
Now here's a White Sung mortiser. This works.
Okay.
And here are the chisels. I just had those sharpened.
Okay.
And here's another Oliver lathe that runs as well. There is a overhead pin router.
Right. Who makes that? Is that a Carson?
That is a
I'm trying to think.
that is a
So Wadkin made a lot of these.
This is Erkstrom and Carson.
Made pin routers.
So now I'm gonna take you to where we do the metal work.
Street Machinery.
Say it again.
You know who Ben Rock is from Pleasant Street Machinery?
Pleasant Machinery I've heard of, but I don't know the guy.
Yeah, so that's Ben Rock. So I started talking to him about it in the forums. He's probably the most knowledgeable in this vintage.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do an interview with him.
Oh, you should, because he's the the majority of the customers.
That's a drill press there.
Yeah.
And this is a Marvel hacksaw that works.
Okay. I love you, man. You're a hoarder.
That's a metal bandsaw.
Okay.
It's a Bridgeport. It works.
Good.
And all of that works. That's a bend
Offer.
back there.
Wow.
Lathe. And those are two Northfield shapers right there. They both work. When we do floor, we do it there, tongue in the groove. And
Fantastic.
I think that's it.
Well, Robert, I think you need to decide what you're going to keep and thin it out so you got some room to work.
Man, I just thinned it out. What are you talking about?
Man, you're a man after my own heart. It's awful addictive, isn't it?
Oh my God, it is.
Yeah,
And when you look at, there's so many different machines that do so many different things. It's crazy.
Yeah, I guess, some people call that the slope or the slippery slope. And I had gotten into I had some Aciera Swiss mills that I always start, just because, I call it buy the machine's cost of admission. Like, the real work is stripping them down, rebuilding them, and getting them in top-notch shape. I spent years doing that, and it's a real, as you know, bringing in and removing machinery can really disrupt the business.
Big time.
Yeah, and it should be, if you're thinking that, oh wow, look at that, I saw one Compete case same as Jack's shop, I want to go get that, right? And you're thinking that's going to be your table saw. You got to really understand that it's fun, but it can be really addictive and really be disruptive. It's like whenever we're going to get a 5-head wad contentor, and it's in running condition. It's come directly out of a window shop, and I've gotten a little wiser of where to put it, and don't start taking bolts off it till you're ready, right?
Right.
In fact, after this museum job we're working on, I'm going to rebuild the Robinson spindle molder, which I didn't show you in the back shop. This thing's a beautiful example, and so I thinned out most of my spindles. I will have 3 spindle molders, which is about the amount that it's efficient for the work we do. We can leave specific cutters set up and do certain things. But I mean, if I had a 40 by 60 barn, it'd be full. Right? Coming in, Robert?
Say it again?
Any questions coming in? I can't
Yeah.
my questions.
He goes, in his experience fiddling machines impossible, how do you guys make money? We don't sell machines.
Oh, yeah, no. This is no, but there are people that can do that. And I mean, I have bad offers, and I probably could, but I don't enjoy it in that regard. You don't make money, you lose money. Now for me, the philosophy behind that is I want to work in front of machines like this. This is what motivates me. A lot of our work is historic, and I like to do it on historic machines. I've gotten jobs just by people walking in the shop, okay, or pulling up and seeing our windows. And to me, that is not a financial consideration. It's one where, no, this is who I am. That's what I want to do. And
Jack, we have 1 minute and 37 seconds left. So let's go out and come back in.
Okay, so we should say then.
Yeah, I'm going to
be interviewing Taylor Donsker on Monday on your new site. So everybody should join that new site, or they won't get any notifications, right? They won't.
Right.
At least
right.
They won't have the live.
Right. Yeah, Jack, we're going to come back on.
Okay.
We come back on. So we're going to get out and come right back in.
Okay. So what do I do?
You come out and come back in.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. So we're waiting on Jack. Welcome back on. If you got questions, send them back. So Jack's coming in. Hey, Jack.
Okay, that works.
So Jack, what happens is Instagram gives you an hour to go live.
Right.
So after that's over, you just
So
start
kick off.
start again.
Yeah.
And then on the end, it says, how do you want to save it? And you just hit share to IGTV. And
Oh, and I can do that for me?
yeah, when you're in, you'll be able to do, no, you can't do it from you. You can only do it as the host.
Okay. So you're going to save that? Because I went onto your IG, I didn't see anything loaded yet.
Well, I just did it.
Okay. So, okay, good.
When this is over, you can see the first one and then the second one will come.
Yeah, so do you want to continue talking about how disruptive old vintage machinery can be to the business?
Yeah, go ahead.
Probably a good lesson for people to learn. I mean,
Yep.
it looks pretty cool on the videos, but okay. So I made a conscious decision to, like, it's a huge desire to do it. It's exciting, super exciting. Because you can get equipment that's has huge capacities that if you go brand new, and trust me, brand new is brakes, okay? Brand new brakes too. And if you don't have those skill sets, it can be quite daunting. If you can't understand machines because there are woodworkers, they go, I get a lot, well, Jack, I'd rather do woodworking than machine working. And I go, well, then you're not a woodworker. If you don't know how to set up your machines and fix stuff, buddy, you're going to struggle, man. Okay?
When I first got into buying a saw, it was 15, 16 years ago.
Yeah.
I was on a forum. And I remember a guy saying, if you're going to become a sawyer, be prepared to become a sawyer mechanic.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to take care of the machine.
Well, you don't have to. You have to be aware of your limits. And if you're not good at that, be aware of your limits. And that'll really come true when you buy something old. Because as good as they look, they're never as good as they look once you start taking them apart. Right? And I don't want old, knackered, cool looking stuff. I want stuff tuned to the tits. Okay? My stuff's deadly. It's wickedly tuned. Okay? Lots of hours, and I'm very happy with the way they are. And that, I'm known for that. It's called jackified. So when the machines are in that condition, like the PK, they're jackified. They're better than new. They're, and I think a lot of people, it's enough for them to start collecting and having the vintage shop, so to speak. For me, it's the capacity of a two-man shop. But like, what two-man shop has my capacity? This would usually be a big facility, 15,000 square feet with, employees. So for me, that was what was exciting. So the big lathe, we can take on stuff that normally would be associated to big, huge shops. And so, like a Whitney planer wouldn't go well in my work.
Right.
Now, how friggin' cool is it? It's the coolest damn planer there ever was made. That thing is huge. It's an amazing planer. So, I mean, you got to really decide and listen to people carefully about when they say, Jack, what's the best table saw? I'm going to say the Waikipee, but it might not be the best for you.
Exactly.
Like you gotta, start small. I say the first thing you should do is, and it's the easiest one to get your feet wet, is go buy yourself an old vintage drill press. Not too complicated, and you can decide if that's what you want to do, But you get into the complicated machines that you've shown, like that big old thickness sander you got probably needs a good bit of work to get it you know, where you don't, it's not breaking down or the belt's not tearing but those,
Yeah,
what's a belt cost?
$2,000.
Yeah. So you got to decide. So you got to put all those things into, I got a good deal on the sander. I got to buy a belt, and you decide what those things are.
And it's a 3-headed sander as well.
Yeah, but I think I heard you say only 2 of them are operating.
No. Can only operate 2 at a time.
Oh, okay.
And 50 amp motors.
It's a platen type.
Yep.
Yeah. And are the platens in good shape?
Yeah. And they're 12 inches. The big rollers on the bottom are 12 inches. And Tri-State Machinery, we did a video walkthrough, and he was telling me that it's 1971, and it was made heavy to do doors. So when we had it moved, it's 26,000 pounds.
So it's more built to handle the stresses of that sort.
Yes.
This is the thing people don't understand, I think. I think they'll buy a lot of the newer models of sanders now are running the helical head denibblers that don't allow you to only take off certain prescribed amounts. Like you and that one of the first guy you had on are running 36 grit, which what is that? Bricks glued to paper?
Listen, Jack, I have rough hands, right? I pass by, I skim the paper, and I'm like, wow, the paper's dangerous.
Oh yeah, no, sanders are the most dangerous. People, because you don't think they're swirling, but you slip on a 36-inch disc sander, and you could probably rob any place you wanted because you won't have any fingerprints anymore.
Exactly.
You know. So, have we got any questions? No, not really.
Yeah, I think.
I'm just gonna go close my door. It's Canada up here, right? It's freaking cold. The leaves out down there?
Not yet. Some are.
Okay, so I don't feel so bad.
So how do you overcome fear of having a machine that you may not be able to restore due to lack of parts or unknown?
Yeah, that's pretty difficult. So, especially if you're looking for completeness. So I make a lot. I also sense, you know, we have a huge festival here in July, the Rust Junkie Fest, and that's a huge tool exchange. We'll be on our 8th year. Well, I don't know if we're going to have to postpone it this year. It's usually it's the weekend after July the 4th. And we have about 85 to 100 people come here, and it's a huge tool exchange. You camp over. We have live demonstrations, a multitude of artists that come, and it opens the shop to the vintage idea. So this is, but not necessarily like you can. You know what rucker and porter is?
No.
Okay, so this is a coined term that I believe was started on OWWM, the Vintage Machinery Forum, by Keith Bond and Keith Rucker. You know who Keith Rucker is?
No.
So Keith Rucker is on YouTube and owns a website called Vintage. You can get manuals. There's a photo index.
Yeah, probably know the site, but not the guy.
Well, it's a site. His name's Keith Rucker. He's got a pretty good following on YouTube. Hangs out with like people like, like the machine heads, right? They're not the woodworkers. They're more the gear heads, is what I call them, right? The machine guys. But they've opened up sites to find manuals. You can also open discussions with people that own a piece of equipment if you don't even know what is missing. So it's very much established like hot rod vintage cars would be. There's a network of people manufacturing used equipment. For instance, those machine tags I had made are made from a fellow, Tom Utley, who's on Instagram. He will reproduce machine tags etched in metal if you want those done. And there's a number of other people. I have components in England. Mark Roberts is pretty much my factor in England. He sort of rebuilds Wadkin. His moniker is Wadkin Restorations on IG. His name's
I think I follow him.
Yeah. So you can get, these people have built. So I'll get people, Jack, I want that shop. And I go, hey, buddy, you know how long that takes? Okay. You want it? Yeah. Get in line. It's go to the end. Okay. So Mark Roberts just rebuilt an entire Wadkin shop for a guy out in British Columbia. And I also sell custom-made VFDs for people who aren't familiar with the three-phase and single-phase difference. Another obstacle that buying industrial equipment and not being in an industrial position to have three-phase power is overcome. For instance,
let me tell you what I need while we're talking about this, what I'm having an issue with. One of my Oliver 25 lathe, 1917.
Yeah.
It has a DC motor.
Yeah. Okay.
Would I need to get to run that?
Oh, lots of things, but it's probably can't remember the name of that motor. It was specifically made for Oliver. So basically, what you'd need is you can get a generator. You can get you know how you can run AC motors off of your car through an inverter. You can hook up and an inverter and get 120 AC. So you can get that. So you can get DC power out of three-phase power or single-phase power, but it's very expensive. It's extremely expensive. Some of the DC motors, Kimball, that's what the name of the motor company that made that motor is, the Kimball motor. And in fact, if you go over to that vintage machinery forum, Kimball has a category and you can look in there, explosive views of the whole thing. The problem with that sort of stuff is most motor shops, all the old guys are dead, and you don't want them touching it. Like they're really just designed to. Motors are replaceable now. Motors are mechanically wound; they're not hand wound anymore. And those skills are. If you can help an old motor shop, you want to be talking to somebody at the desk who's got great hair. You don't
Got it.
They got pimples. Walk out. Okay. So you can run that. It's very difficult. I suggest that you get three-phase equipment.
I got three-phase.
Get it in the 240 volt range because VFDs allow you to do far more things than the DC, because that was the technology in the day. That's how you got lots of torque. But now with three-phase variable frequency drives. So in other words, here's my lathe, and I'm running in that with a variable frequency drive, okay? It's got a dial port. Here's the drives we sell. I stick them in a vintage box, okay? And we can bring all the controls up front. We can add extra controls. This can go wherever we're going. If I'm way down there, I can bring it down there, But, right, it's got to stop. We can program it to push reverse, okay? We have speed control dials here, which could be anywhere. So I'm running slow right now, okay? Now it's also a 4-speed. Okay, so I generally leave it in this position. So I say three-phase motors is the best. Now in Canada, we're 550 volts on most of our industrial equipment. And so that's a completely different thing to have to do. You need to get into transformers. So the PK is a 550. There's another. Turn the rotary
Signal's
on.
going in and out.
Yeah, so that's the rotary phase. So I built this out of junk. Okay. So what we got here is I got a rotary phase converter inside of a box. These are, this is 240. That's 600 bus boxes. And I got a 15 kVA transformer on the ground. And those all run out. Those all run out to disconnects in the shop. You see, I got a 600 volt disconnect there. So I got plugs. We have another one over here. Disconnect. Okay. So I can isolate machines, right? And this is all industrial garbage. And I could shut it off here if I want, right?
Beautiful shop.
The electrical side can be extremely expensive, and the more you know about it, the better you're going to get. If you have to bring in industrial electricians, that can be a real expensive prospect.
Yeah.
I recently helped out another woodworker, which you probably should have on, is Heidi Kernshaw. She teaches at some of the schools, and she came from a three-phase situation and has now moved in the country and built herself a studio out there, and had no idea what was involved with setting up three-phase equipment in a single-phase environment. And so I'm very knowledgeable in that. In fact, I offer and walk you through step by step how to convert with VFDs, and we offer VFDs up to 50 horsepower single-phase input.
Wow.
Okay, we have VFDs that you can run multiple motors on. You just plug them in and you use your standard switch gear. This is what phase perfect is, and so one of the greatest things I've been doing lately is running I've been running the dust collector on my VFD. This is amazing. What we can do is I could have little sensors at each one of these things, and when I open them, the VFD goes, more power, does it all automatically. So if I only got one gate open, or I'm running that Whitney, and I need every VFM, it will increase because it knows that, and these sensors are, 2 to 3 cents each from China. So there's a lot of stuff that people aren't realizing, that just the speed, like in your lathe, you're talking speed. But on drill presses, on table saws, if you're limited, you can actually put a disc on the table saw and slower the speed. But it also gives you braking, which could be safer for people if you have people working. A lot of people don't get cut by the machine. They get cut because there's a whole bunch of speed on. If you got big old blades spinning down, they don't hear it and they go cut their fingers off. So having brakes and stuff like that is a good thing. And those are all come with your VFD already. So if you were going to get into vintage machining, you want to look for vintage machinery in three-phase in the 240 volt. You get up into the 480s. You got that power, Richard?
No, I don't. When I first came to my shop, I had three-phase, but it was like 70 amps. So the electrical company brought a bigger 200 amp wire to the building. Then I had the electrician to bring it from the top of the building to inside the building.
Okay, that
was expensive.
How much was that, Robert?
14 grand.
Yeah. It's it's not just go out and buy a whole bunch of equipment, right?
Yeah, look, let me tell you a story about that, right?
Okay.
When I had my fire, I first moved in. I rushed into this shop because we were working in the greenhouse. Jack, I asked an Englishman, I asked a white man, and I asked a Jamaican.
Okay.
All three of them gave me the exact same price. I'm like, hell, are they working in the same company?
Yeah. They're all expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're all expensive. And that was just to get it indoors. That's not to hook up not to hook it up to a panel, not to hook it up to nothing. Just to get it inside to make it legal. It was, and 30, 40 grand later.
Yeah, and those are numbers that can make or break your business. And so it's not a number you want to learn because you should do a bit of research. For instance, I have three-phase out on the street at my house. Hydro came and I made an application. The permit would have been $10,000 and I would have had to buy all the transformers. They would have removed the single-phase power from my house. I would have had to backfeed the shop. Then, worse than that, I would have been on what's called non-metered. In other words, we calculate you're going to burn this much electricity whether you do or not. This is how much you pay. You can burn as much as you want, and it's cheap. If you don't burn any, you're going to pay electricity or electricity service to houses is actually subsidized. So it makes better sense if you're working from home or I have an acre here that you can put a building on and work from, to keep it as a single. I'm limited to approximately 50 horsepower, which is a fair amount. Okay.
Right.
Now, I don't know, maybe that sander you got's 25, though. Maybe that dust collector's 25 horse. What are the horsepowers on those machines?
I don't know. I don't remember what the horsepower is, but I know that 50 amps on the sander, they're 50 amps each.
Yeah. Those are 50. That's 25 horsepower. Now,
yeah.
Your dust collector's probably that. So you just in those two machines would exceed what you're capable.
Can't run anything else in the shop.
And what are your plans for that? You're working on plans for those to, do you have enough capacity and amperage at your current situation?
Yeah, well, I can run them both, but I can't run anything else in the shop.
Are you on three-phase or generator?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, my shop is three-phase.
Okay, and it's 100 amps.
No, 300 amps in the shop.
300 amps at 240.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well I've got 200 amps at single phase, which is about half that because single phase is only 2 hots coming in, 3 phase is 3. But I mean, these it just goes to say that anybody thinking that you just go out and buy a big, huge machine, you got it's a bigger plug than your dryer or your stove, right?
Yeah, and this is my third shop. They were all 3-phase. The problem is I had to jump in here because I didn't have a shop. And the landlord was like, "Yeah, it's 3-phase, but it was 3-phase with 70 amps, and it was old. It was original."
That's not nothing. That's right. That's already existing. As you said, it would cost $14,000 to upgrade. You got to put that into your rent. And I heard you talking about your rent. Sounds similar to us. It's $1 a square foot generally for commercial. So 5,000 square.
No, Jack, I had to pay that to get it in. I had to get the electric in. I had to fork the money over.
Yeah.
I tried for the longest to go on those 70 amps.
So
wasn't working.
Ben from Clarkstone Woodwork is saying he thinks it's a good reason to have smaller dust collectors and not a single system.
Yeah, I got a couple of small dust collectors. I have a bunch of machines. And sometimes the smaller ones aren't strong enough. Like if I'm running 80 grit, that little dust collector that's on the side of the sander will work. But if I'm running a 60 to 40 grit,
no, you're. But what are you taking off? Well, how much are you taking off? 1/8 of an inch?
Yeah, maybe a little less. Not much.
Yeah, that's pretty heavy for a sander.
Right.
Yeah. And the sander's obviously wider than the Whitney.
Yes.
So that's your wide capacity surfacer.
Yeah, I have a 36-inch jointer. I have a 36-inch planer. I have a 27-inch planer, the Whitney, and the sander is 40 inches.
Okay, so that's your largest capacity. So if you have slabs wider than that, what do you do?
We do the electric hand planer.
Okay, so it's all handwork.
No, an electric hand planer.
Well, to me, that's a hand.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I say if it doesn't have a motor, it ain't worth a damn. But no, I like hand tools. But I mean,
who's got the time?
Yeah. Well, I mean that's a lot of work. So not even a manual sled, router sled,
No, I'm gonna build one of those in the yard. We have the greenhouse. There's room for it. I'm gonna put one there because we're working on a walnut slab that's 6 feet wide and 14 feet long.
Yeah. Isn't there an outfit that can go on the little bandsaw mills now and like
The Lucas mill? Yes, it has a router bit.
Yeah, but the big, it's like a 16-inch diameter thing or something,
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. So let's see if we got any questions here. No.
So we answered Ben Brunick. You know who Ben Brunick is?
I don't.
Ben Brunick is out of North Dakota. He's got a podcast called, I think it's called the Workers Podcast with Raymond Valdez and Philip Morley. Okay. All good guys. I talked to Ben quite a bit because he does a bunch of restoration work. He was asking about he thinks it's better in smaller units as opposed to the big, huge 25 horsepower.
Okay, so he's chalkstone woodworking.
Chalkstone, yes. So holy cow, that's a huge bit. Yeah. I guess I can see these. Hey. Let's see here. Okay. Most of them are just saying it's insane and wiping the slobber off of their keyboards. Okay. Moxie, I don't see any others. Well, maybe we talked enough that we answered all their questions.
Right. I think so. This is Joe. How do you carry a big piece of wood without breaking the walnut table? More hands on it.
Yeah, or don't carry big pieces of wood. That's more for you. I hate that stuff, like the heavy wood stuff.
Okay.
But, like I used to cut that way, flitch sawn, cut for the boule, however you want to call it. And I started cutting that way after reading The Soul of a Tree by George Nakashima. And there's a whole, if you haven't read that book and you're into slab cutting, that's the Bible of how to read and interpret what grains and how to slab cut, in my opinion.
Okay. I can answer this. Beer or whiskey? I'm going to say Jackson whiskey guy.
Been rum lately. Actually, I was a beer guy, and holy Jesus, I do like my beer. Some would say I'm an alcoholic, but an alcoholic always needs a drink. I got one, so. Anyway, I got off a beer and I started drinking. Well, a couple of my buddies will bring over Tennessee bourbon, and one of my good friends does. And I don't mind that stuff is very good. But I'm drinking rum lately. Rum and Diet Cokes, keeping my figure in good shape.
All right. Who's your design inspiration?
So I would say the masters, which would be George Nakashima. As I said, if you're into slab work and you haven't read George Nakashima's Soul of a Tree, you can actually still visit his complex, his daughter.
I've been there twice.
What?
I've been there twice.
You have to go if you're into this stuff. Next one would be Sam Malouf.
Yep.
These were independent people. He's probably, in my opinion, the most contemporary chair furniture maker of American masters. There's Wendell Castle. These are interesting people. Art Carpenter out of California. Jerry Osgood, who came out of the Rhode Island school. This guy's disgusting.
What about Walt Nesherich?
Who?
Walt Nesherich. He was He was Maloof and Nakashima are called the big three in American designers.
Well, you'll have to. I don't the name.
I'll send it to you.
But I might could recognize it. So these guys are all dead. There's some absolutely perfect people now that are pushing stuff. Really like Karen McBride. She's the one that you said she recently just finished a commission for Steinway. Steinway does commissions for the art, called the art piano. These pianos are $2.5 million each, and she just finished one with an artist. She's a real single artist. And then of course the Wadkin Temple has here like this. That's Nick the blacksmith.
Hello.
Okay, so
what's up, Nick?
How's it going?
What's up, Nick?
Oh, not much. I was actually coming over to ask if we had time to go get coffee, but apparently I'm on camera now.
Well, so Nick's on camera. So, but I think you know, you get inspiration from everywhere you are. Like that's the woodworking side of inspiration. I really much more.
You're breaking up, Jack.
Yeah, my battery
Got
must be dying. So those are sort of my inspirations.
Okay. All right. So look, we've been on for an hour and a half.
That's a pretty
So if
too
someone
long,
just
eh?
gave up $1 million, what would you? I'm sorry.
That's pretty long.
Yeah.
Is that too long?
I mean, it's on you. I have to go pick up that walnut that's on the street.
Yeah, and I got to get these guys back to work because they've been dog fucking since they've been on this phone here.
Hey.
Nick's his own guy, so. No.
So
Yeah.
Monday we're on the Connections conversations page with you and Tyler.
Yeah.
Taylor Dunster.
Yeah, so he's out in California, so we're still sort of throwing around some ideas of whether it'll be at 10 a.m. I suggested his 4 a.m. That puts me at 7 o'clock at night. Then I can have a glass of rum, see? And, I can put on my smoking jacket and make it a little more of an English, right?
That a boy.
Yeah, and I could borrow a pipe, and get into
Well, look, and I'm sure Taylor will be all into that.
I'm super excited to interview him. I'm going to talk to him this weekend to see what it is that we can be a little more focused on. And we'll use him as the premier launch for it's, if I'm not mistaken, Conversations Blacklumberjack.
Yep.
So,
yeah, and we'll keep posting it and putting it in stories and sending people there.
Yeah, because I get a lot of questions of people, where do I go? And you say you're not good. If you say you're not good at this internet stuff, to me, the internet's not real. So anyway, awesome chat.
Same here, brother.
I think we'll, I'll keep talking to you back channel, DM or whatever.
Yep.
I just want to thank all the people that joined in, and thank you, Robert, for actually starting something that I think is going to just go skyrocketing.
Yep. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay.
And look, Jack, one more thing. We have about 5 distillers coming on,
Okay.
and we get you to interview one of them.
Okay, so you want to share the responsibility? I got no problems. I'm on your side, man.
All right, brother.
Peace. Take care, man.
Peace. You too.
Buddy.
Signing off.